Hello everyone. This is in response to rubydynamite's wonderful video about Variablast's campaign. But it is more directed to Variablast. So I'll probably send this to him as a PM or something. The whole idea is I'm not doing this to trash Variablast. I'm not doing this to go against anyone. But you asked a serious question, and I figured that in this case silence was not assent, and I would go with that answer. The question, of course, being, will I call myself a nigger? And I have come to think that the answer is insufficient. Not because anybody gives a shit what I want to say, except me. But, you know, a few people have gone, oh, but that would be neat. But other than that, it's something I feel deserves an explanation because of the complexity of the subject. And as I'm talking about this, it's important that, though obviously you need to hear the words I'm saying and need to understand them because, well, other than that, it's just a silly face making noises at you. It is more important by far for you to look at how you feel as the words register on your consciousness, beneath your consciousness. When we talk about a word, any word, when we're in a conversation with and about people, we don't do the processing with words. For instance, the word nigger is used in many, many different contexts, and in fact has as many different precise definitions as the number of times it's been used. The same with any other word. Because you are invariably using it, even if you are using it to the same person, at the same time of day, in the same situation, in the same context, both you and that person have changed in the intervening time between this time and the previous time you used it. And nigger, as it is used now, can mean many, many things. Anything from lazy slacker to lover to friend to comrade at arms to person I identify with, to person I'd like to know, to person I admire, to God damn you dumb motherfucker, to anything. As with anything with language, so much of it is the emotion behind it, the circumstances around it, and the mental context in which it is both said, because that informs the expression on the face and the tone of voice and the manner of delivery, and the way it is received. Because perception is at least half the game in language. So, what I'm trying to say is that the word means a lot more than just one thing right now. And to attempt to take this word that has hundreds of years of blood and suffering and death and torture and servitude and guilt and insults and struggle and thought and idealism and hatred for idealism and causes and war and suffering. I think I said suffering already, but you know, families split up, Newfoundland, and all kinds of things. To take all of that this word is associated with, and especially the positive end of this word, which is someone who has endured a common struggle, someone who has endured a kind of suffering similar to what I know. that's one of the reasons I would never use the word, because the kinds of stuff I've endured is entirely different. Thank you very much. It's just not my experience. But to take that, and white people have a long history with the word nigger too. It's not the same one, but it is deeply bound in one of the major contradictions of this country. Therefore, everyone in this country has some connection to this word. Everyone. And to take all those mental experiences and thoughts and whatever, and I'm certain there are other people in other countries, I'm just speaking from what I know rather than whatever. But to take all these experiences that are bound up in this word and say, no, we want you to replace this with the most lukewarm boiled spinach version of the word human imaginable. And I know that's not necessarily what you intend, but that's just how it came across when you just say, means human. Well, human is also a word. You look up human overpopulation on Google or YouTube or whatever, and you can have human come across as one of the most ugly, vitriolic words imaginable. So there's a lot of variation you're cutting out of that one too. But back to what I was saying. The idea of taking this rich, powerful, and I do not mean this in a value judgment sense, I mean that this is a word loaded with meaning and history. And most importantly, emotional associations embedded in the minds of millions and millions of people. And to say, no, we want you to change this. Well, I'm guessing that your first reaction is usually confusion, befuddlement, because something is wrong with this, but someone can't articulate the fact that they're being asked to hang all this baggage, all this emotional baggage, somewhere else, and take this very connected word and hang this itty-bitty fig leaf on it. And they really, really, really don't know how to deal with that. And then, like with the statements of racism, you know, you must be a racist, or you really must, you really should do this. This is a good thing. You telling someone basically that they need to be doing this thing that confuses them. All of a sudden, you're going to get a very sharp, very ugly, very bad reaction. Now, this wouldn't necessarily be when you're in your face, like in your interviews or something like that. But I'm talking about here on YouTube, where people have the privacy to think. And the reason you're getting this is because all of a sudden you are telling them that these emotional attachments that they have to this set of concepts, not necessarily to the word nigger, because the word nigger is attached to these concepts as well, all of a sudden that these are things that they must reject. And I'm oversimplifying a great deal here, but you're telling people that they must reject a part of themselves. And it doesn't matter whether it's a positive part or a negative part. As anyone who has ever tried to separate an abusive couple can tell you, the degree of emotion is what matters, not the kind. So because of this, because of these deep, deep, deep things you're messing around with, you're getting initially very bewildered and then very negative reactions. And the reactions are only going to become more negative the longer you push a particular person. And that's because you're not giving them a chance to articulate why, even if they could. why this makes them uncomfortable. Because you are taking the language from them. Taking the language that they would use to articulate this if they had the opportunity. Or I should say co-opting it. I'm making this more complicated than it needs to be, but I hope you understand. This is a complex and difficult thing you're attempting to do because it involves the minds of millions of people, and you're attempting to do it all at once with one magic symbolic fix. I know you believe it. I don't know what else to say other than you continue this at your peril. Someone will react very badly, and I'm sure you're ready for that. And I've said my piece, and you will do your thing. Best of luck with what you do. Thank you for your time and attention.